coming up on the power rankings right now. We see them Jets, Titans, Dolphins, Giants, Carolina. What do we think?
Yeah, I'm looking at a whole big sea of stuff right there. My question for you, Frank, were the Titans 32 before the craziest, wonkiest, quirky way to win a football game? Or have the Jets been the worst team in the league all along?
No, honestly, if I have to be honest, the Titans have been the worst team in the league, and they would have been 32 with a loss. And you could say, yes, they had the fluke, right? DeMercado drops the ball, and the interception gets fumbled back into the end zone for a touchdown. Very fluky, but the Titans did put together 3 good drives in the fourth quarter against the Cardinals and looked like an NFL team, which I don't think I can say about the Jets right now. They're terrible. There's no winless teams or there's no undefeated teams left in the NFL. There's only one winless team left in the NFL. The Jets are the only team that has a 0 by its standing, 0-5. And honestly, at some point, I like Aaron Glenn. I think Aaron Glenn was a good hire. Aaron Glenn's not doing a very good job either. That is a sloppy team. They were getting blasted by the Cowboys. Everything about the Jets have earned the number 32 spot. Whether I think they could beat the Titans or not, it doesn't matter. The Jets have definitely earned being number 32.
Okay, let's take a look at the next grouping of 4 as we go through this one. And I don't like number 28. I thought we would have been a little lower. I frankly don't love that my beloved Raiders are in at 28. We'll take a look at these 4 here. We got the Raiders, the Saints, the Bengals, and Carolina. All right, Frank, I want to ask you about Cincinnati here, okay? A Bengals reporter, Ben Baby, tweeted, this is a quote, Zach Taylor said the team will evaluate its options when asked if Jake Browning will start at quarterback against Green Bay. I don't really see another option for them at quarterback, but is there something they could do that would jump them? Like if they went out and pull out some big trade for Jameis Winston or something, would the quarterback position alone jump them to a higher spot for you?
Not very much. I mean, and Jameis has all of a sudden become the white whale. Do we even forget that there's a reason Jameis Winston's making like $2 million as a third string quarterback right now? Okay. Like Jameis is not anybody's savior. He's fun. I enjoy watching him. I enjoy Eat a W. I enjoy his interviews, all that kind of stuff, but he's not coming in cold in the middle of October, learning the playbook and saving your entire season. Like that's just not happening. And the Bengals, they were one of those teams where I'm like, if I'm being honest, I could put these guys lower. Just like there's so many teams in that first quad we showed you. There's so many bad teams in there that you can't kick everybody out. You can't move everybody up because the Raiders probably do deserve to be in the bottom 4, if I'm being honest. But they at least had the win at the Patriots. And the Bengals have looked like maybe the worst team in football since Joe Burrow got it. Is Joe Burrow the most valuable player in sports history? Like the Bengals went from like, oh yeah, they could win the AFC North to like, is this an NFL team I'm watching, or is this like MAC football right now? Like it is unbelievable how bad the Bengals got overnight. No quarterback who's realistically available saving their season. Save your draft picks, start Jake Browning, take your L's. It's just going to get bad for the Bengals. There's no way around it.
Also, just a reminder, there's a lot of just stinky teams in the NFL.
A lot of bad
Let's get
teams.
the next.
A lot of bad teams.
I mean, there is no middle class anymore. You either have it or you absolutely don't. The next grouping of 4 coming up here, we've got the Browns, we've got the Cardinals, the Falcons in this grouping here. They'll pull it up for us. And the Cowboys. Caroline, the Cowboys in at 22. What do you think?
Yeah, that was a little shocking to me, Frank. Is it criminal that the Cowboys have the best offense in the NFL and they're 22nd in your power rankings?
Well, Caroline, I do respect the question, but we only had one side of that coin, and the defense also matters here, which is absolutely awful. Which goes back to the Jets. The Jets couldn't even get a touchdown for the three quarters against the Cowboys defense. What are they doing? But yes, the Cowboys offense is awesome. By the way, real quick on the Dak MVP stuff, because you're going to hear this, right? Like Dak should be MVP. He's playing so well. MVP has never come from a team with a losing record, ever. It has not happened in the NFL history. It has only come twice from teams that players that didn't make the playoffs. That was Johnny Unitas in 1967, O.J. Simpson in 1973. So if you're telling me Dak is an MVP candidate, you also have to tell me the Cowboys are making the playoffs. I don't see that with this defense. That's why I have them 22nd. Look, the offense is really good without CeeDee Lamb somehow. Like Dak is playing out of his mind. There's no question about that. He's been very, very good. I just can't get them higher than this because, again, I don't think against a decent professional offense they can get stops ever. Like you watched Russell Wilson threw for 450 against them. This is a bad defense.
Yeah, when the
We
Browns
talked about this
go on
earlier.
Go ahead.
Is there a move to be made at the trade deadline to make the Cowboys defense not miserable?
And that's a better conversation than the whole like, oh, some team's going to trade its quarterback to the Bengals. Like that probably is not going to happen. The Cowboys could add on defense at the trade deadline. I don't know. Maybe there's a great pass rusher out there like Micah Parsons or something you could go add. I don't know. Maybe that would help their defense. But crazy, right? Like
who would trade Micah Parsons?
You start thinking about it, and would a guy like a Trey Hendrickson make sense? I think maybe that's a pipe dream, and the Bengals would ask too much for in a trade, but the Bengals have to know by now they're losing 12, 13, 14 games this season. Why hold on to Trey Hendrickson? You already had the contract dispute and everything. Maybe you recoup some picks for him for a team like the Cowboys, who's like, yeah, we have a glaring need of pass rusher. Wonder why. Maybe we could go get one of these pass rushers. There's a few pass rushers out there who are realistic options in the trade market, and that would absolutely help the Cowboys. And that might vault them up a little bit. You all of a sudden, if they go out and add to the defense, add a guy or two, maybe all of a sudden we do start having a conversation about, hey, can Dak drag this team to the playoffs, and then can he get in the MVP conversation?
That's all going to happen, and then we're going to look brilliant. All right, top 20. Let's get to the top 20. The next grouping of 4 coming at you. We're still in the losing record segment, but we're almost getting there. The Bears at number 20. The Ravens at 1-4 at 19. The Texans and the Vikings ahead of them. The Ravens are still actually favored to win the AFC North. That is amazing to me. So of the 4 teams on the screen right now, who do you think has the best chance? Bears, Ravens, Texans, Vikings at getting to the playoffs?
It's so hard. I guess the answer's got to be the Ravens. They're tough, though, because if you look at how it's going to shake out the next few weeks, the Pittsburgh Steelers are rested off a bye playing a Browns team with Dylan Gabriel at quarterback at home. They decided not to take their bye after London. I'm just going to assume the Steelers win a game here. They move to 4-1. And then you look at the Ravens. They play the Rams this week. They're probably going to lose that game. All of a sudden, you're like, the Steelers have this unbelievably huge lead in the division. Are they really going to blow that? Even if Lamar gets healthy, the defense still stinks. There's a lot of injury concerns, both sides of the ball for the Ravens. But if I had to pick one of these teams, look, I think the Vikings are pretty good, especially on defense. And I think the Texans, I still have a lot of questions about them, but it's looked a little bit better, right? The Bears have played a little bit better. But the one team, the Ravens were by far the hardest team for me to rank because I still do believe in their talent. I really do. I believe at some point John Harbaugh gets this stuff together. Lamar Jackson comes back. He could play Superman. I think that they move up. I don't know if they can hunt down the Steelers because they're going to be down like 3 games in the AFC North by the time their bye hits. But the Ravens are the answer. The Ravens are still the team without the Ravens. It's crazy. The Ravens have better Super Bowl odds right now than the Colts. Like the odds makers have not given up on the Ravens yet, being a good team. It's just hard to see when you have one win and half your lineup is out.
Yeah, that's stunning to me. Just the Ravens, at some point it'll fall off the cliff, maybe. Next grouping of 4, we get into now. We're finally getting some decent football teams in here. It's taken us halfway through to get Carolina to the point that we have decent teams. We have the Patriots. We have the Steelers. You just mentioned the Seahawks, the Chargers. Caroline, what stands out to you?
Yeah, you bring up the Steelers as, a contender to win the division. At this point, hey, I mean, like, why not? The Steelers keep winning, but are they for real?
I don't think so. I really don't. I don't want to be a hater here, but look, the Aaron Rodgers story is cool. Like, I know nobody wants to talk about Aaron Rodgers. Nobody likes talking about Aaron Rodgers positively, but the Aaron Rodgers story is pretty cool so far. I know that, like, Fitz, you thought they were going to fall off the cliff, right? Like before the season, if I remember right, that was one of your
still might. There's still plenty of season left,
and that's what I was going to say.
Very much so good.
There's still plenty of time because all Aaron Rodgers is right now is this check down quarterback. His average depth of target is 3.1, where nobody else in the NFL is under 6. Like, he is literally just throwing it behind the line of scrimmage every time. That's fine for a while, but all defenses pick up on that. They're going to catch up to it. I don't think the Steelers' defense has been very good. They look old. They look slow. Look better against the Vikings. I'll give them that. Tomlin will improve that unit. He's a good coach, good coaching staff, all that kind of stuff. But I still look at the whole with the Steelers. And I'm like, is this team really going to win like 11 games? Like, I don't think so. I think they're more of a, Mike Tomlin, 9 wins, right? Like, that's why the Ravens have some hope that they can track them down. No, I don't think the Steelers are for real. Again, I don't want to sit here and be a hater, but when I look at that offense, I look at some of the issues they've had on defense. I just can't see them keeping up this pace. if they do, hats off to Mike Tomlin, one of the great coaches of our era. But it just, there's too much to overcome right now. There's too much where you look and you say the Steelers have to improve this, the Steelers have to improve that. There's just too much. I don't think the Steelers keep up anywhere near this pace they're on.
Look, I'm just going to be very blunt. What I said over the summer with Frank was that the Steelers would start hot and everybody would fall in love with the Steelers when they start hot.
Yeah.
And then you look at the schedule gets tough. They're going to fall apart in the back half of the season. And I maintain that take. I am halfway to being right because they're starting as hot as I thought.
Who would you pick? Who would you pick to win that division? Would you pick the Steelers or the Ravens right now?
I didn't predict the implosion of the Ravens. Let's be honest about that.
No,
that's
goodness,
the
they're my
hardest part
Super
for me.
Bowl pick.
Yeah, I mean, I really sat there and thought, okay, the Steelers are going to end up 8-9 was my prediction this year, and 8-9 leaves them out of the playoffs. I still feel pretty good about where that was. I just can't figure out how the Ravens get to 9-8 if they don't start winning games.
They're going to be 1-4. They're going to be 1-4 when they lose to the Rams on Sunday, and the Steelers are going to be 4-1. Like, you're only 3 back in the division. It's crazy.
Let's bring up the next grouping of teams. We've got a team here that you predicted the step back for would be the Washington Commanders. So far, you do look right on that one. The Rams, the Chiefs after last night, and then the 49ers. Where are we on San Francisco, Frank? Like, given the injuries, how good can this team actually be if they ever, I don't know, get healthy?
But that's a problem. They're not going to get healthy because there's a guy named Nick Bosa who's out for the season. And I think that's the fatal flaw for the 49ers. They're going to get Purdy back. They're going to get Ayuk at some point. They're going to get the receiver, Pearsall and Jennings and all that. Kittle's coming back pretty soon. Their offense is going to look good. I just don't know if this defense can maintain without Nick Bosa. They had a great win on last Thursday. I thought Kyle Shanahan, that was his masterpiece. Like, Kyle Shanahan winning that game last Thursday night, to me, makes him the NFL Coach of the Year favorite already. Like, there's a long way to go, and there's a lot to be hashed out with that. But he did great. But Matthew Stafford threw for 389 yards. He was carving them up after a while. And you're just like, all right, the 49ers got a great win. Hats off. It was a really gutsy win. But that defense is not going to be good without Nick Bosa. And that's my problem with the 49ers. I can only get them so high. They have a really easy schedule. They're going to have a really good offense. They have a guy who I think should be Coach of the Year favorite right now. But I just don't know that the defense can hold up. I have a lot of respect for Robert Saleh, done a great job as their coordinator. But when you take away a Nick Bosa off a defense that already had a bunch of young guys playing, it's Fred Warner and a bunch of like rookies and second-year guys right now. Like, they don't have a lot of stars anymore on that defense. But they had Nick Bosa, one of the best players in the NFL. Well, he tore his ACL and he's done. So when I look at, the state of the 49ers, I think they're going to be good. I think they'll probably win double digits, but I just don't see a championship upside for them anymore. It's just too tough with that defense.
It's been so hard for me to pick the 49ers week in and week out or project the 49ers to really make any sort of noise because of the injuries. But that division, to me, Frank, is so fascinating because, yes, I'm worried about the 49ers, but they're 4-1 with a lead in the division after taking down the Rams. The Rams, I think, have championship upside, but, like, what about the Seahawks? What do you make of the NFC West? And if you had to pick one of these teams to win this division today on October 7th, who are you taking?
And I hate this because they keep blowing home games. I actually would pick the Seahawks. I really believe in the Seahawks. I think their defense has taken that leap in Mike McDonald's second season as coach there, which we all kind of expected, but didn't bake into our when we were talking about all these teams in the summer. We're like, yeah, the Seahawks, whatever. The Seahawks won 10 games last year, and they, I think, got better at quarterback. I'm sorry, Fitz. I think that the Geno for Darnold swap looks really, really good right now. Their offense week one, it was not good, but since then it's been really good. Darnold was awesome on Sunday. Threw the bad interception at the wrong time. The cardiac Buccaneers win again. But I do think the Seahawks win that division, but it wouldn't surprise me if the Rams are for it. I think all three of those teams are quality. I don't think the Cardinals are any good. But those three teams, you're right. The Rams do have championship upside. I think the 49ers, if you squint and you can make something out of their defense, just Robert Saleh cooking up with the ingredients he has, cooking up a gourmet meal. I think you could make that argument for the 49ers too, but the team I really, really like is the Seahawks. I think they're so close to a breakthrough. They're 3-2, but they could easily be 5-0. Week one against the 49ers, lucky Brock Purdy touchdown pass into the end zone. It was lucky, Brock. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to diss you here. It was lucky. And then, Darnold throws the interception late against the Buccaneers. They win with no time left. This Seahawks team is really, really close to being 4-1, 5-0, and much higher on my rankings than they are right now.
All right, let's get the next grouping up. This would be now we're into the top 10 at this point. We're into some of the good here. We'll start at number 8, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Only 8 after last night. Packers 7, Broncos 6, Colts 5. So first and foremost, why do you hate the Jags?
Yeah, right. Like the Jags, right? Picked to win the division, by the way, before the season started.
Ooh, yeah.
What a win last night! Because I will tell you this, that was the one where you're like, when Mahomes scores a 145 left. If it was Mahomes on the other side, you'd be like, oh, Mahomes is going to drive him down and win the game. With Trevor Lawrence, I was like, yeah, no, this ain't going to happen. It's not. This is not who Trevor is. It's not who he's been. He's just going to miss some throws or whatnot. And he just drives him down and has that weird, he falls down basically twice on a game-winning touchdown, kind of almost epitomizing Trevor Lawrence's career, where it's never smooth, it's never easy. I give them a lot of credit, but I do think there's been a lot of issues with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence hasn't been good all season. He was good last night. He really got hot and played well. I just think there's maybe improvement for the Jaguars to make. I don't think they're there yet. They've had some bouts of sloppiness. They blew the game against Jake Browning and the Bengals, right? Like we talked about Jake Browning and the Bengals. They lost to that team, all right? So I think 8 is the right spot for them right now. And it's funny, you talked about, okay, we're getting to the good teams, right? Which of these teams do you really – I don't consider the Jaguars a Super Bowl contender. So we're down to what, like 6 teams that win a Super Bowl, 7 teams that win a Super Bowl already? Like we have a lot of bad teams and not very many elite teams in the NFL right now.
So does that mean that you think the Colts can win a Super Bowl?
No, that's
Like, is
not
what we've seen from Daniel Jones, is that sustainable?
No,
Is this the new Daniel Jones?
I hate this because, all right, if I'm being totally honest, there's some points where I do power rankings where I'm like, there's no way I can have this team lower than this. I just look like a jerk, right? I just look like I'm being a clown and trying to like rile up a fan base or something. But when I did these rankings and I put the Colts 5th, I'm like, do I really think the Colts are the 5th best team in the NFL? I'm sorry, Indianapolis. The answer is no. I really don't. And yes, it is because Daniel Jones. I will fully admit it right now. I think at some point, Daniel Jones, it's going to hit midnight. The Scooby-Doo mask is going to come off. Everything's going to happen for Daniel Jones that we saw for so many years with the Giants. I don't think they can maintain this, but I will say this. Colts fans, don't get too mad at me. The Colts have done nothing to not deserve to be higher. The Colts should be 5-0. That Rams loss was so dumb. They had so many dumb mistakes. Adonai Mitchell dropping the ball and 10 men on the field for the Rams game-winning touchdown. They should be 5-0 and have a great argument to be number 1 in these rankings, right? So I'm just being a hater. That's it. I'm sorry. I just will admit it. I'm being a Colts hater. I'm being a skeptic. I don't think they can keep this up. I don't think they're the 5th best team in football.
Frank, it is so refreshing to hear you say that because I have been that hater. I have been that person on this show that I feel bad, but I just can't believe in this team. It's like, when you're on a date with a guy and it's like, I don't like him. What's wrong with him? I don't know. He's too nice. Like there's like, I don't know what it is about the Colts. And I think it is Daniel Jones that I'm just on the edge of my seat waiting for him to fall back into what he has been versus what he is for the Colts. And I just keep wanting to see more. I keep waiting for him to fall back. He hasn't yet. Credit to him and credit to this Colts team.
When the Colts win the division and Daniel Jones wins comeback player of the year, drinks are on me because it'll be paying me out nicely. Let's get to the top 4. Your top 4 on the Power Frankings, as we've now coined them. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 4, the Philadelphia Eagles, despite their broken offense, at 3, the Bills, despite losing, at 2, and then the Lions at 1. You're giving a lot of benefit of the doubt here to the Bills and the Eagles, Frank Schwab.
I still think they're very good teams that are just kind of playing with their food right now, right? Like it's I don't know what's wrong with the Eagles because the Eagles, when they were 4-0, I'm sitting here saying, guys, we've noticed that they're really just messing around for a quarter, a half, getting dominated by the Rams for 2.5 quarters, like stuff like that. Or put together 4 quarters, Philadelphia. It's not that hard. You're a Super Bowl champion. You should be playing better than you are, period. Point blank. I don't know what to make of the Eagles yet because I know they're good. Look at their roster. You tell me Saquon Barkley's not going to get going this year. You're telling me that defense isn't going to get better this year. It is. The Eagles are great. The Eagles are going to be fine. The one I just didn't know what to do in the top 3 here because you can make an argument for the Bills still being number 1. You lost a game at home. Everyone's lost a game so far. But the Lions are the team. You look at the way the Lions are playing, and it's like, okay, like the last 4 games is like Ben Johnson, who? Like, we don't miss Ben Johnson. We're doing many trick plays. We have David Montgomery throwing touchdowns. We're scoring 34 points in every single game of their last 4. We look back every year at a weird week 1 result where we were just like, what happened? It was last year was the Patriots beating the Bengals, obviously. This year, Fitz, might be the Raiders beating the Patriots, right? But I also look at the Lions getting smashed by the Packers and saying, yeah, maybe that was the weird one, because the Lions have done nothing but look like the best team in football since then. They have looked absolutely awesome. That's why I put them number 1. I didn't know what to do with it. I'll say this too. The Buccaneers were the team. I was like, I don't know what to do with these guys. I picked them to go to the Super Bowl, right? I went out on that limb. I picked them to go to the Super Bowl for a season. I don't know if they're good. I have no idea if they're good. They win every single game with no time on the clock. I talk about point differential, and I talk about metrics, and I talk about lucky wins, and everything is happening for the Buccaneers that I always rail against, but yet it's a team I picked to go to Super Bowl. I should be like victory lapping, but I don't know what to make of the Buccaneers right now. It's a very interesting top 4. Let's put it that way.
I also don't know what to make of the Bills right now, because week
Right.
1 they looked like the best team in football, and then Monday Night Football or Thursday Night Football, whatever the hell that was, every day blurs together for me. Against the Dolphins, you could say, okay, well, primetime games are weird and wonky. Divisional games can be weird. You were without some defensive players. Ed Oliver wasn't playing in that game. Okay, fine. And then you play way closer with the crummy, crappy New Orleans Saints at home than you would any business playing with them. And then they turn around and lose this game against the Patriots. Like, how much do they have to play with their food? How many wake-up
Right.
calls do the Bills really need before we say, okay, maybe this just is who they are?
And Carolina, I mean, a good point. Week 1, that was such an incredible win. Phenomenal. Josh Allen throws for like 700 yards in the 4th quarter or whatever it was. You also have to, if you step back now and look at what we're talking about with some of the Bills' struggles, you look back and say, yeah, but early in the 4th quarter of that game, they were getting their behinds kicked by the Baltimore Ravens. Like, they really were. They had to come back. They had to have one of the miracle comebacks to win at home in week 1. And then you're like, yeah, they pounded the Jets in week 2. What does that even matter right now? Like that should count like for half of a win against the Jets. And then, yes, the Dolphins were in that game. If Tua doesn't throw that interception, like the Dolphins might have won that game. I don't really have any respect for the Dolphins whatsoever. I think they're a bad football team. The Saints, yeah, they got their win last week. They've been feistier than I thought, but they're still a bad football team. Almost, they were really struggling. If anybody had them in the Bills in their survivor pool that week, they struggled with the Saints in that game. And then obviously, I thought they got outplayed by the Patriots. I really did. I thought the Patriots were the better team in that game. So yes, what do you make of the Bills? This has been such a great run out for them. Everybody in the AFC is getting hurt or struggling. The clear path to the number 1 seed, still the Super Bowl favorite by a mile, if you look at BetMGM's odds. But yet, when you look game by game with the Bills, maybe we're setting the bar too high. But you look and you just say, why can't the Bills put together a complete game? Where's that? Unless you're playing the Jets, I guess. Every game, it's like, okay, Bills, let's get it going. And they should be better than that at this point. They really should. For a team that's the clear Super Bowl favorite, they should be playing better than they are.
Frank, if I can't talk you into the Power Frankings, can I talk you into a weekly award called the Schwabby? Like the one team in the Power Rankings that impressed you the most, it's a Schwabby. Like I got a maybe. There's an over.
You got a maybe.
Overview.
We'll talk. We'll negotiate. The
Maybe's
Detroit
not a
Lions,
no.
number 1. The Jets at 32. The top faller is the Chargers, down 8. That's a big. And then top riser, in this case, the Schwabby. There'd be 4 winners of a Schwabby: Tampa Bay, Indianapolis, Denver, and New England. But he also told us that he's not really sure if Tampa Bay's any good. He's just hating on Indianapolis. I think maybe the Schwabby this week goes to New England. Yeah, the most positive things to say about New England, Frank.
I got a different one for you. A team that I do think is good that we're not talking about is the Denver Broncos. When we look back, because you go back and you look at their season, you try to put in context all the wins and losses, right? We love the Colts, right? We love the Colts. Colts, oh my God, the Colts. Colts should be number 1 in everybody's power rankings. The Broncos should have beat the Colts, but they had a leverage penalty at the end. Okay, in Indianapolis. So the Broncos lose that game. No time left on the clock. The Broncos lose at the Chargers, another playoff team probably, with no time left on the clock. If the Broncos win even one of those games, we're talking completely differently about the Broncos right now. If they win both of those games, they're number 1 in the power rankings and by a mile. So I think the Broncos are the team we're not talking about because they're 3-2 and the Chiefs are in their division. We just assume the Chiefs are going to come back and win the division. I don't think so. I think Broncos win this division. I think that's a Super Bowl caliber team. I think Bo Nix is going to get better as the season goes along. He looked great in the fourth quarter after 3 quarters from Bo Nix. I think the Broncos are, if you're asking me one team right now, I know I gave a lot of love to the Seahawks this way too, but another team that, okay, this is actually a Super Bowl contender and nobody's talking about them that way, it's the Denver Broncos. They went into the Philadelphia Eagles had not lost a game that Jalen Hurts started and finished since September of 2024. The Denver Broncos went into Philly and beat them. Just beat them. Like, it wasn't like a fluke. It wasn't crazy blocked field goal. No. They went in and beat the Philadelphia Eagles. The Denver Broncos are a Super Bowl contender. There's no question in my mind.
The Broncos get the first ever Schwabby. Frank will be back with us next week to go over his power rankings and give out awards. We're going to work on power rankings. Frank, have a great morning, brother. Thanks so much for hanging out with us.
Appreciate you guys.